Wisdom of Sirach, chapter 4. My son, do not deprive the poor of his living, and do not keep eyes in need waiting. Do not grieve a soul who is hungry, nor provoke to anger a man in despair. Do not trouble a heart that was made resentful, and do not put off the gift of a man in need. Do not reject a suppliant who is afflicted, nor turn your face away from a poor man. Do not turn your eye away from a needy man, and do not give a man occasion to curse you. For if he curses you in the bitterness of his soul, his Maker will hear his prayer. Make yourself beloved in the assembly, and bow your head to a great man. Incline your ear to a poor man, and answer him peaceably and with gentleness. Deliver a person who has been wronged from the hand of the wrongdoer, and do not be faint-hearted when you judge his case. Be like a father to orphans, and like a husband to their mother, and you will be like a son of the Most High, and he will love you more than your mother. Wisdom exalts her children, and lays hold of those who seek her. Whoever loves her loves life, and those who come to her early in the morning will be filled with gladness. He who holds fast to her will inherit glory, and the Lord blesses every place she enters. Those who serve her will minister to the Holy One, and the Lord loves those who love her. He who obeys her will judge nations, and he that gives heed to her will live with confidence. And he trusts in her, he will inherit her, and his posterity will be in possession of her. At first she will walk with him on disturbing paths, and bring fear and dread upon him, and she will torment him with her discipline, until she can trust his soul, and test him with her ordinances. Then she will come straight back to him, and will gladden him and reveal her secrets to him. If he wanders away, she will forsake him, and hand him over to his ruin. Watch for a proper opportunity, and keep yourself from evil, and do not bring shame upon your soul. For there is a shame that brings sin, and there is a shame which is glory and grace. Do not show partiality to someone to your own harm, and do not let your respect for another cause you to fall. Do not withhold a word in time of need, for wisdom is made known by a word, and instruction by a word of the tongue. Do not speak against the truth, and do not be put to shame by your ignorance. Do not be ashamed to confess your sins, and do not exercise force against the current of a river. Do not subject yourself to a foolish man, and do not show partiality to a ruler. Fight to the death for the truth, and the Lord God will fight for you. Do not be rash with your tongue, and sluggish and neglectful in your works. Do not be like a lion in your home, and act in pretense with your servants. Do not let your hand be extended to receive, and shut when you should repay. Wisdom of Sirach, chapter 5. Do not set your heart on your possessions, and do not say, I am independent. Do not follow yourself and your strength, so as to walk in the desires of your heart, and do not say, who will be Lord over me? For the Lord will surely punish you. Do not say, I sinned, so what happened to me? For the Lord is patient. Do not be so confident of atonement that you add sin to sin, and do not say, his compassion is great, he will atone for the multitude of my sins. For both mercy and wrath come from him, and his anger rests on sinners. Do not delay to turn to the Lord, and do not put it off from day to day, for suddenly the wrath of the Lord will come forth, and in the day of vengeance you will perish. Do not set your heart on dishonest wealth, for it will profit you nothing in the day of distress. Do not winnow with every wind, and do not follow every road, for a double-tongued sinner is of such a kind. Be established in your understanding, and let your word be consistent. Be quick to listen, and give your answer with patience. If you have understanding, answer your neighbor, but if not, let your hand be over your mouth. There is glory and dishonor in speech, and a man's tongue may cause him to fall. Do not be called a slanderer, and do not lie in ambush with your tongue. For shame awaits a thief, and a grievous condemnation will come upon a double-tongued man. In a great or in a small matter, do not go wrong. Wisdom of Sirach, chapter 6. Do not be an enemy instead of a friend, for a bad name brings shame and disgrace, and a double-tongued sinner is of such a kind. Do not exalt yourself with your own counsel, lest your soul be torn in pieces as by a bull. You will devour your leaves and lose your fruit, and be left like a withered tree. An evil soul will destroy him who possesses it, and make him an object of malignant joy to his enemies. Pleasant speech will multiply his friends, and a gracious tongue will multiply many kind greetings. Let those who live at peace with you be many, but let your counselors be 1 in 1,000. And if you gain a friend, gain him in testing, and do not be in a hurry to trust him. For there is a friend who is such to his own advantage, but he will not remain beside you in the day of your affliction. There is also a friend who changes into an enemy, and will reveal a quarrel to your disgrace. Again, there is a friend who is a companion at table, but will not stand by you in your day of trouble. Further, when you prosper, he will be like you, and speak boldly to your servants. But if you are brought low, he will be against you, and he will hide himself from your presence. Stay away from your enemies, and hold on to your friends. A faithful friend is a strong shelter, and he who finds one finds a treasure. There is nothing that can take the place of a faithful friend, and there is no way to measure his worth. A faithful friend is a medicine of life, and those who fear the Lord will find him. He who fears the Lord guides his friendship rightly, because as he is, so also is his neighbor. My son, from your youth up, choose instruction, and you will find wisdom also into old age. Come to her as one who plows and sows, and wait expectantly for her good fruits. For in her work you will labor a little while, then you will quickly eat of her fruit. She is very harsh on the undisciplined, and on the one who lacks the heart to continue with her. She will be like a heavy stone of trial upon him, and he will not delay to throw her off. For wisdom is like her name, and is not manifest to many. Listen, my son, and accept my judgment, and do not reject my advice. Put your feet into her fetters, and your neck into her collar. Put your shoulder under her and carry her, and do not be angry with her bonds. Come to her with all your soul, and keep her ways with all your strength. Search for her and seek her out, and she will become known to you. And when you become self-controlled, do not let her go, for in the end you will find her rest, and she will turn to you in gladness. Then her fetters will be a strong protection for you, and her collar a glorious robe. For there is a golden adornment upon her, and her bonds are a blue thread. You will wear her as a glorious robe, and put her on yourself as a crown of exceeding joy. If you are willing, my son, you will be taught, and if you apply yourself, you will be prudent. And if you love to listen, you will wait with anticipation, and if you incline your ear, you will be wise. Stand in an assembly of elders, and who is wise? Attach yourself to him. Desire to listen to every divine narrative, and do not let proverbs of understanding escape you. If you see a man who has understanding, rise early in the morning, and let your foot wear out the threshold of his door. Set your mind on the ordinances of the Lord, and practice his commandments. He will strengthen your heart continually, and the desire for wisdom will be given to you. Wisdom of Sirach, chapter 7. Do no evil things, and evil will never overtake you. Stay away from wrongdoing, and it will turn away from you. My son, do not sow on the furrows of wrongdoing, and you will not reap the same thing sevenfold. Do not seek authority from a lord, nor the seat of honor from a king. Do not declare yourself righteous before a lord, nor play the wise man before a king. Do not try to be a judge. if you will not be strong enough to remove wrongdoing, lest you respect the presence of the powerful and compromise your integrity. Do not sin against the population of a city, nor disgrace yourself before the people. Do not repeat your sin, for you will not be unpunished even for one. Do not say, "He will look upon the multitude of my gifts, and when I bring an offering to God Most High, he will accept it." Do not be faint-hearted in your prayer, and do not neglect to do alms. Do not laugh at a man who is in bitterness of soul, for there is one who humbles and exalts. Do not devise a lie against your brother, nor do the same against a friend. Do not desire to tell any lie, for the habit of lying never does any good. Do not talk idly in the assembly of the elders, and do not repeat yourself in prayer. Do not hate hard work, especially farming, which was created by the Most High. Do not number yourself among an assembly of sinners. Remember that wrath will not tarry long. Humble yourself greatly, for the punishment of the ungodly is fire and worms. Do not exchange a friend for money, nor a genuine brother for the gold of Ophir. Do not ignore a wise and good wife, for her grace is worth more than gold. Do not mistreat a servant who does his work in truth, nor a hired worker who devotes himself to you. Let your soul love an intelligent servant. Do not deprive him of his freedom. Do you have cattle? Take care of them, and if they are profitable to you, keep them. Do you have children? Correct them, and make them obey from their youth. Do you have daughters? Watch carefully over their chastity, and do not be too easy on them. Give a daughter in marriage, and you will have completed a great work, but give her to a man of understanding. Do you have a wife after your own heart? Do not reject her, but do not trust yourself to a wife whom you disregard. Honor your father with all your heart, and do not forget the birth pangs of your mother. Remember that you were begotten through them, and what can you give back to them to the degree that they gave you? Fear the Lord with all your soul, and honor his priests. Love him who made you, and do not forsake his ministers. Fear the Lord and honor his priests, and give them their portion as commanded. The first fruits, the trespass offering, the gift of the shoulder offering, the sacrifice of sanctification, and the first fruits of the holy things. Stretch forth your hand to the poor, that your blessing may be complete. Let the kindness of giving be shown in the presence of all the living, and do not withhold kindness from the dead. Do not withdraw yourself from those who weep, and mourn with those who mourn. Do not hesitate to visit a sick man, for by such visits you will be loved. With all your words, remember the time you will die, and you will never sin. Wisdom of Sirach, chapter 8. Do not contend sharply with a powerful man, lest you fall into his hands. Do not quarrel with a rich man, lest he resist your force, for gold has destroyed many, and perverted the hearts of kings. Do not contend sharply with a talkative man, and do not heap wood on his fire. Do not jest with an uncultivated man, lest your forefathers be insulted. Do not insult a man who turns away from sin. Remember that we are all valuable. Do not dishonor a man in his old age, for some of us are growing old as well. Do not rejoice over any dead person. Remember that we all must die. Do not disregard a saying of the wise, but be conversant with their proverbs, because from them you will gain instruction in how to serve noble people. Do not miss a saying of the old, for they themselves learned from their fathers, because from them you will gain understanding and be able to give an answer in time of need. Do not kindle the coals of a sinner, for you may be burned by his flame. Do not let the presence of an insolent man arouse you from your seat, lest he lie in wait as an ambush against your words. Do not lend to a man stronger than you, but if you do, consider it lost. Do not give surety beyond your ability to pay, But if you do give surety, be as careful as one who has to pay. Do not go to law against a judge, for they will decide for him because of his reputation. Do not travel on a journey with a reckless man, lest he weigh you down, for he will do his will, and you will perish with him in his folly. Do not cause a fight with an angry man, and do not go into a lonely place with him, because murder is as nothing in his eyes, and where there is no help, he will strike you down. Do not consult with a fool, for he will not keep a matter confidential. Do nothing confidential in the presence of a stranger, for you do not know what he will give birth to. Do not open your heart to everyone, lest unkindness be shown to you. Wisdom of Sirach, chapter 9. Do not be jealous of the wife of your bosom, and so teach her an evil lesson about yourself. Do not give your soul to a woman to let her trample on your strength. Do not meet with a woman who is a courtesan, lest you fall into her snares. Do not associate with a dancing girl, lest you be caught in her schemes. Do not gaze at a virgin, lest you stumble and pay damages for her. Do not give your soul to prostitutes, lest you destroy your inheritance. Do not look around in the streets of a city, and do not wander about in its deserted sections. Turn your eye away from a woman with a shapely figure, and do not gaze at beauty belonging to another. Many have been led astray by the beauty of a woman, and erotic love is like a burning fire. Never dine with another man's wife, and do not share in parties with her over wine, lest your soul turn aside to her, and you slip, and with your spirit fall into destruction. Do not forsake an old friend, for a new one is not equal with him. A new friend is like new wine. Drink it with pleasure only after it ages. Do not envy the honor given a sinner, for you do not know what his end will be. Do not delight in the pleasure of the ungodly. Remember, they will not be declared righteous even in Hades. Keep far away from a man who has the power to kill, and you will not be anxious about the fear of death. But if you come near him, do not offend him, lest he take away your life. Know that you are stepping in the midst of snares, and walking about the battlements of a city. Evaluate your neighbors as best you can, and consult with those who are wise. Let your reasoning be with those who are wise, and let all your talk be about the law of the Most High. Let righteous men be your dinner companions, and let your boasting be in the fear of the Lord. A work will be praised for the skill of its craftsman, and a wise leader of people for the skill of his words. A talkative man is regarded with fear in his city, and a man who is reckless in his speech will be hated. Wisdom of Sirach, chapter 10. A wise leader will educate his people, and the rule of an intelligent man will be well ordered. As goes the leader of a people, so also are his officials, and all the inhabitants of a city will reflect its ruler. An undisciplined king will ruin his people, but a city will be made habitable through the wisdom of its rulers. The authority of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and he will raise up the right man for an appointed time. The success of a man is in the hand of the Lord, and he confers his honor upon the person of the scribe. Do not cherish anger against your neighbor for any injury, and do nothing by acts of insolence. Arrogance is hateful before God and man, and wrongdoing is offensive to both. Dominion is transferred from nation to nation because of wrongdoing, insolence, and wealth. How can he who is earth and ashes be arrogant? Because even while living, his insides are decaying. A physician scoffs at a long illness, and a king today will also die tomorrow. When a man dies, he will inherit reptiles, wild animals, and worms. The beginning of a man's ignorance is to depart from the Lord, for his heart withdraws from the one who created him. For the beginning of arrogance is sin, and he who takes hold of it will pour out an abomination. Therefore the Lord will bring them extraordinary distress, and completely destroy them. The Lord pulls down the thrones of rulers, and seats the gentle in their place. The Lord plucks out the roots of nations, and plants the humble in their place. The Lord overthrows the lands of the nations, and destroys them to the foundations of the earth. He removes some of them, and destroys them, and puts an end to their memory on the earth. Arrogance was not created by mankind, nor fierce anger by the offspring of women. What kind of seed is honored? The seed of man. What kind of seed is honored? Those who fear the Lord. What kind of seed is dishonored? The seed of man. What kind of seed is dishonored? Those who transgress the commandments. Among brothers their leaders is honored, and those who fear the Lord are honored in his eyes. The fear of the Lord goes before the obtaining of authority, but roughness and pride is the losing thereof. The rich and the honored and the poor alike, their boasting is the fear of the Lord. It is not right to dishonor an intelligent poor man, nor is it proper to honor a sinful man. The noble man, the judge, and the ruler will be honored, but none of them is greater than the one who fears the Lord. Free men will render service to a wise servant, and an understanding man will not grumble. Do not put your wisdom on display when you do your work, nor magnify yourself in the time of your trouble. Better is he who works and has plenty than he who magnifies himself but has no bread. My son, honor your soul with gentleness, and give it honor according to its worth. Who will declare righteous the man who sins against his soul, and who will dishonor the man who dishonors his life? A poor man is honored for his knowledge, while a rich man is honored for his wealth. If a man is honored in poverty, how much more in wealth? And if a man is dishonored in wealth, how much more in poverty?